Oh my God, gang, we are back again. The BC3 Amigos are in town, and it is March, almost April. So it's not
Almost
an April
April.
Fool's Day presentation, it is a March presentation. And we're back together again. I mean, I cannot believe it, guys. It's the end of March. I mean, this year is going way too fast for us. I mean, it's crazy. It's funny. We were sitting last week, and the conference season is really picking up steam right now. And the three of us got together, and we were chatting back and forth, and we said to ourselves, "Let's do something different." We bring in guests so we can learn more. We talk about different things about BC. The three of us, we banter back and forth for like 40 minutes or so. We talk about a topic, but then we said, what about education? What about learning? And the three of us really pride. We have take a lot of pride in the fact that we, put out articles, we do blogs and all these other things. But what about teaching you, the listener, about things about BC? Like maybe. So the three of us got together and we said, okay, let's pick three topics that we see in forums or we see them online or people throwing out messages every now and let's pick three hot topics. And I picked reversing journal entries. Kim, what did you pick?
Recurring purchase and sales lines.
Ooh, that's cool. And Rob, what did you pick?
I know this is going to be a shock, but it's part of the relationship management functionality. It's called opportunities. Everybody's asking about the CRM, the CE, and all the other stuff.
Mm.
Why not use what you got? We're going to have opportunities today to learn about opportunities.
Oh, this is so cool. I love
I
it.
love it.
This is going to be great. So we thought we'd do this. We're going to try it out our first time here, and then we'll continue it. We'll kind of rotate through our style. We bring in a guest. We talk about things that we see in forums. We'll just banter about a hot topic, of the month or quarter and stuff. So we'll keep rotating through this, and we'll keep doing education, and we'll keep throwing out our check our LinkedIn channel. Check certainly to see what articles or blogs where people are writing and throwing out there. Kim just threw out one just recently, I think today or yesterday. So check that out, and we check out all the ones that we throw out there. And hopefully soon, we're hoping in a couple of months, the website will be up, and you'll check everything on one site of the BC3 Amigos. Either that, or we'll just be sitting there drinking on the site, and somebody will film us, being drunk, falling out of our chair, because that's our style. All right. So you know what? I'll be first up. I'm going to do reversing a journal entry. We'll talk about that. So let me share my screen. So give me 2 seconds to present my screen out for everybody.
It's there.
All right. So I love it. So let's begin. So as you know, and again, all three of us are going to do the same thing. So obviously we're showing you Business Central. So a few things to note is, let's say I need to reverse a journal entry. And obviously I'm going to go create a really fast one. And I'm just going to show you what a simple one is like. So let's do a very quick journal entry, and we'll just make it 2 or 3 lines, nothing elaborate or anything like that. So we'll pick today's date, 3/26 of 25. We'll go with pick a GL account. Let's just pick a nice easy one. I'll pick an accrual account, and we'll just accrue some interest. And of course, as you know, as like always, let's say I'm going to do $10,000. And we'll pick our balancing account, and maybe we'll pick interest expense. If I can spell correctly, that's always a good thing, in life. Always spelling, interest on bank loans. Obviously, don't forget that if you need to do your dimensions, please make sure you put your dimensions in, and I'll pick my department dimension. That's my most important one, and we'll pick corporate. And let's post this through. So nice and simple. We'll say yes. We'll let it fly through. So key thing while it's posting. Every entry that you make has the ability to be reversed. There are easy ways to get to those entries. Yes, I could effectively go to the chart of accounts. I could scroll down to the word accrued. I picked accrued interest, remember. So I can go down to my accrued interest categories here, and I can say, oh, where's accrued interest? And I'd come across, if I can find it, it'd be really good. But Steve, of course, forgot to jot down in his head the account number. So he'll try again.
There's this thing called search at the top.
Kim, this is why. These are the things. There it is, accrued interest. So I have this accrued interest in here, category that I booked it to. I could open up the GL account. I didn't have to drill into it. And of course, as you see, here's my general ledger entry table, and there's my journal entry. Now notice you see the reverse transactions. If I do click it, it will bring up the 2 entries. Now, one thing to note, and this is by habit, I do this, and let me widen my screen for you. Every time I do this through the general ledger entry table, by habit, I will highlight both lines, and then I will click reverse. So let's click
Do
reverse.
you have to, Steve?
No, you don't have to, but I think I do it because I'm kind of, pardon the pun, but
Nervous.
on purpose, I do it to make sure that I cover both entries, and I'll kind of show
Okay.
you why. You don't have to. If I do reverse here, it says, to reverse these entries, correcting entries will be posted. Do you want to reverse the entries? And I say yes. So let's say I do that, and of course, you wait a second, and of course, there's my reversing entry. It'll self-appear inside, there's the debit inside the thing. We'll do this one
So it
more,
already posted it.
and it already posted it.
It already posted. Oh, okay.
So it's instantaneous. Now, let's do it one more time. Okay? We'll do a quick entry, and again, I'm just gonna, we'll pick my default journal entry. And we'll do another fast one. This time we'll do office expense. And I've got office expense, and again, I'll come back here and I'll put some money. Let's put $1,000. And again, I'll put my department code in here, and I'll pick.
Is that where you code the drinking tab?
Say that again.
Don't give away our secrets.
And then what I'll do is, instead of me making the balancing account, I'll do it in 2 lines this time, just to have some fun. And let's pick, and again, I'm just going to scroll down real fast, and I'll put it to down here.
Long-term notes.
Yeah. How about employees payable? That's a fun one.
Oh, okay.
And so now I made another entry, and let's just post this real fast. Now let's go back to the office expense account, because this one, like Kim told us before, we might as well just look up the word office. So I'm going to type office, OFF, and I'm going to hit the $53,000. And of course, the very top entry is March 26th. So now I hit reverse again. This time I'm just going to hit reverse and see what happens. So for all intents and purposes, there's the entry being reversed.
Doesn't matter.
Right above it. But I'm kind of curious, did it reverse both entries? So I'm going to do the find entries just to let it come up. And of course, it's taking a moment here. And obviously, it's showing you that it came in and it came out. So it's showing you the in and the out portion. Now, there are cases, and there are several cases, for which I believe this is an easy way of doing it if it's a nice, simple, single entry. But by habit, and this is me, what I do based on accounting, I always like to look at instead of going right to the chart of accounts, I pick the GL register. And the reason I pick the GL register, and always pick the archive one, by the way, this is a paper report, this is the screen. So I come here, and here is all my entries. So I'm going to scroll way down, just going to go way down here, and I'm going to find some entry that I want to reverse. So let's say I want to reverse, and again, some of these entries are not, you can see some of them have been reversed, but I'll pick this one here. So I'm back from January 16th. And for me to come in here, I can pick the general ledger if I come in this way. And the reason I'm looking at it from this perspective is because I see all of the general ledger, and I can see all the dimensions. I see the general ledger entry number here, and I can see everything in its entirety. If I say reverse transactions on here, of course, it will take the entire, it shows me all the transactions that it's about to reverse. That way I know it's going to reverse all 5 of these rows. The other one only shows me 1 row because I'm only highlighting it by the arrow, the cursor, and then you're kind of not really knowing what's about to reverse. Here it's giving you almost like a preamble, showing you, hey, I'm going to reverse these 5. Is that what you really want to do? And if the answer is yes, you click reverse and reverses all 5. I know it's like what's the old saying, 6 and a half? I'm sorry, I never know that saying.
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
There you go. So, I don't know. This is becoming more, I do this more and more. I think it's because I like seeing the whole entry, everything related to, because there's more than just, you can see all the GL accounts. I can see the splits it took place. I can see everything about it. And it's kind of like more convenient for me doing it from the register area, because again, you see all your entries and I can pick the one that's bad by the user name. So if a user, say an accounting user says, I just booked an entry like 3 weeks ago, I can't find it or something. Then you can filter by their name. So first, let's filter by somebody's
Yeah.
name, and then you can go find that entry, and then and then go to the general ledger and reverse it. I know it sounds like, Steve, that seems the same way as the other one, but for me, this one, it gives me more of an audit trail because I can see the entry number that I posted in the general ledger entry table. But other than that,
So, Steve,
go ahead.
I don't like that. I'm going to tell you.
Why?
I'm going to tell you. I will give you the pros and the cons. But as a former auditor and having gotten been through on the user side a few audits of my own, um, the fact that you reversed it doesn't tell anybody why it was reversed. So when they originally, now, if you're, by the way, if you're making that journal entry correctly up front, or you think you're making it correctly up front, you're putting a good description on there, like accruing interest for whatever. So
Absolutely.
when you reverse it, it doesn't give you an opportunity to change your description. And I would like, as an auditor, to be able to say, oh, we reversed this because we picked the wrong date or we picked the wrong whatever. So you don't get that opportunity to do that. The other thing is you don't get to choose a reason code because there could also be a reason code if you were doing a journal. However, here's the positive that somebody brought up to me. If you do a reversing entry, instead of posting a debit to the GL account and a credit to the GL account, let's say it was an expense account for a moment, instead of doing you debited the expense account and now you do the correcting entry, you do an actual reversing entry, not a reversing entry, but a correcting entry with a journal. It's going to have a debit and a credit. When you do the reversing entry, it's actually a negative to the debit account in your GL. So it looks like there was no entry in there.
Correct. The reversing transaction utility, or basically the functionality. This function right here, this function, the power behind this function is only one thing and one thing only. It's to take the entries that are listed out that you highlighted, or maybe it's a big batch of entries. It's to take that and basically just reverse it. So it's taking, you're right, it's saying that in account 10800, that this entry, which was a debit of 25, it's going to reverse 25,000 and book it into 10,800, and the offsetting entry, wherever that might be, which in this case it was 22,300, it'll do the opposite. It's just an in and an out, as if it never took place at all. No reason code, no better description, no anything. It's I think this came out of I think this came out of the what I call either the GP slash QuickBooks world, in which people make mistakes and therefore just want to reverse the boo-boos, and that's how this was developed. Is just to physically reverse it as if it never took place. Now it records it. Don't get me wrong here. It is inside of my general ledger entry table, but it does not take it to the extent that it makes it a good audit trail. I mean, I think it's an okay audit trail for the purpose of understanding it's a reverse transaction, and it records it as a reverse transaction. It was a correction, so it was physically reversed.
I do have something I want to bring up.
Go ahead.
Have you guys used the posted journal lines?
I have. I love using that. Yes. So here's the archive of that. So again, I don't have anything in mind right now.
Well, do you know why you don't have anything there?
Because I did not check the box in the template setups, the batch setups.
What's really nice about this, notice you can copy a register to a journal,
Correct.
or you can copy the lines. Now, what's really cool is it asks you, do you want to change the date? Do you want to change the document number? So it has a little more flexibility than just going and doing the reverse. Rob, what would be perfect there is if it has, would you like to change the description?
Yes.
Right? Then your audit trail could even be
Yes.
better.
But it's like I said, I like the feature of reverse because it allows me to reverse certain transactions. Remember, if you try to reverse payments, you may have to make sure you unapply them, and then you can reverse things. So there's a lot of underlying rules that should be intact because it's an audit rule and to follow the trail.
Yeah.
But the overall goal is the ability to reverse a general journal entry or an entry, whether it be right from the general ledger entry table, from the GL registers, or If you don't like that because you want to see more of an audit transaction, meaning what I call longer transaction, then you're right. You can effectively do, as Rob mentioned, we can do, and now Kim has mentioned, we can use the copy document and then change the sign, of course, reverse the transaction, put a reason code, better description, or B, just make a good old journal entry and just type it manually, put a reason code and a better description that I'm reversing this entry because I made a boo-boo, that kind of thing, or I goofed up. But that's the love of this. I'm going to stop here because I think that gives everybody an understanding that it is there. Please use it, abuse it, because I think it's something that a lot of people go in there and they have to basically do, if you really did make just a hit post too quickly, I just want to start over, quickly reverse it and start over, or again, use the long way of doing it, but it's pretty quick and it's right there. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, Kim, and I'm going to pass the baton to you today. So there, it is all
Well,
yours.
okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about reoccurring purchase lines, which can also be used in reoccurring sales lines. But I think probably one of the biggest things is to really help with data entry for people that have the same invoices coming in, electric company, phone bill, maybe, just office supplies. So there's a couple setup things. First, we start by defining the, and did I call it wrong? They changed the name on it a few times and it drives me nuts.
Consistency, is needed heavily. So I mean, in terms of the
Yeah,
naming
see, they
convention.
changed it.
Try recurring purchase
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, I know.
Show all. Go to just do
I
recurring.
got it. I got it. I finally will type it right on the fifth try. Okay. So you can see I've set up a couple. And let's just look at paper. Well, let's do a new one. Let's do
Office supplies for
electricity.
the drinking.
Electricity. I could make it utilities. I cannot type today, guys. Electricity. That's not right,
Does it
is
have to
it?
be English?
How about you? I think I can spell utilities better. Oh, it's going
Hey
to be a
Rob,
long
I
day.
think
All
for
right.
Kim, maybe we should do it in like the horse and buggy kind of language.
Well, we need co-pilot
Electricity.
so it can spell it
That's
for her.
true.
There you go. Phone. So that's all the stuff that's going to go in here. Now, down here, this kind of looks like your lines in your purchase invoice, right? So you've got all the options in here. You can do comments, GL accounts, any of these. If you buy something over and over, you could put items in here. So I'm just going to use, of course, good old GL accounts. And since it's electricity, I'm making up new words and all kinds of stuff today. What do you have? Electricity and heating. All right. I can put a quantity so it auto populates. I can pick my department and any other of my dimensions. I'm going to show you a little trick also that I used to use before we got allocations, but maybe I'm going to do the same account and I'm going to do 60% goes here and 40% goes to sales. Okay, why would you do that? I'll show you. Anyway, I can actually add, I believe, a few other fields here if you want to. You can put the price in. That doesn't really make sense here because it's going to be a different utility bill every month,
Sure.
right? So this is your first setup. Define what it is you want to reuse. Okay. Then we have to tell the we have to set up on the vendors which ones can use which purchasing code. Now, we're going to say the postmaster gives us our utilities. So over here under related purchases, notice we have reoccurring purchase lines. So here, I've already given them. We can buy cleaning and paper and postage and everything. Well, now we can also get utilities from them. Now, I'm going to show you these different types of things that we can do. So normally I like to put automatic in here. And what is this? So if I were to do quotes, this is how I would insert lines. If I'm doing purchase orders. This is how I would insert them. You've got invoices and credit memos. So, and you've got three options. You can do it manually, which means that you can tell the system get the recurring purchase code. You can do it automatic, or you can make it ask you. So let's do automatic on this new one, and we'll show you the others as well. So from here, let's just do a new invoice for this vendor. Now, it doesn't matter where you do the invoice from. Wherever you get to a new invoice, this feature works. So Kim, nothing happened here. I thought it was supposed to be automatic. Well, you do have to actually hit a key somewhere on your purchase invoice. And why did that not come in?
Click on a line. Just click on a line.
I did, and it didn't happen. All right, I just called myself a liar. Let's go back out here and do a purchase invoice. I did say automatic, didn't I?
Let's go back and check that, because sometimes I picked the wrong one. I picked the wrong
Oh, it's
document.
read up top on the blue notification line.
Well, this says ask.
Ah,
okay?
got you.
So this one is set up for ask. So
I think you have too many on there. You have.
I think I do have too many. I have two that are automatic.
It's
it can't figure that
It doesn't
out.
know what to do. Got
right?
it.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick cleaning from here because it asked me to, and here's my cleaning, and I already know it's $225, and I'm going to always have that. All right, let's do one more thing. Yeah, I'm going to exit. I don't have to post because it's really about the input, right?
Add it to a different vendor.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Oh, I can just do it to a new vendor. The property manager is going to pay the electricity now. Purchase, recurring lines. Well, these are all, it's utilities, Kim. And we're going to make this one automatic. So it's the only one that's automatic for invoices. Now we'll do new document from here this time. Put an invoice number in. Whew, I didn't even finish typing it, and there they are.
That's sweet.
The lines are there, but here's what's cool. I'm sitting here looking at my invoice. It's $245.32. Copy that down, and I have just allocated that 60/40.
That's so sweet. I mean, like you can preset.
Pretty cool.
You can preset these up by vendor, so it's always the same each and every time. That's so sweet.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that we can do, you saw the one that said ask, where up at the top it asks. Let's say you have, I'm going to go back to this vendor and edit this vendor. I'm going to take that out so I don't have the one that's automatic, okay? I just have two that are manual. So which one would it pick? All right. So we're going to do a new document. And I'll start typing the invoice number. Well, nothing happened. Remember we said manual.
Yeah.
That's because I'm going to need to tell it which purchase line I want. So sometimes it's one and sometimes it's another. I can ask. I actually clicked on one. I clicked on cleaning, but I could get the other one as well, right? So lots of options here to make that data input easier. You can use this on sales. So if you do a little reoccurring billing and you don't need a full subscription thing, it's just a couple of invoices a quarter or a month, you can set them up, and then you can use this on the sales side as well. So I think that's a real time saver, a real bonus that people forgets here. When I first got into Business Central, one of the things, and this comes from older softwares, everybody would say, well, where's the default GL account on the vendor? And the answer was, well, there isn't one, right? Well, there still isn't one, but we have the reoccurring lines, and I think that does a great job of replacing the default GL account.
That's so nice.
Well, and Kim, not every vendor is a one GL account vendor. So this gives you
That's
that
true.
flexibility.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, so it's not just one. You can set up all the different ones that you use, and you can put comments on there for in the sample of example I stated about sales, recurring sales lines. You could put notes in there as well. So this is the recurring billing for the month of March, 2025, and then every month you can just override the month. So anyway, it's pretty cool.
So as you
I
create the
think.
recurring line, the purchase recurring lines, you I guess you in the end you can copy the same one to many vendors in the end.
You can, yes. You can use utilities on 3 or 4 vendors, office supplies on, 1 or 2. Yes. You just have to tell each vendor which recurring lines apply to
Oh,
them.
so
And you can use those dimensions as you pointed out to
Yeah.
allocate right companies or departments.
Yeah. I think it can be a big help. Maybe you don't need, any of these big AP automations. You want to keep it simple, but you want to save time in your data entry, and this is a great way to do
that's
it.
so nice. It's the things. It's so amazing. Like we're sitting here, and you've just shown us literally like the light bulb trick. When we see people say, "What else can the system do?" and it's like, boom. Like it's probably not taught a lot because maybe it's just not a hot topic when people teach sales orders, purchase orders. People just they'll teach you the basics, but look at it. You probably have solved people's issues, of entering how can I pre-format my invoice for my light vendor, my telephone vendor, my access vendor, and it's so cool.
Yeah,
All right.
it really is. All right, Mr. Del
All
Prado,
right.
your
All
turn.
right, time for some CRM and
Oh,
DC. So let me
We're
take
looking forward to
control.
those
hey,
opportunities.
Kim, do you think this topic hits close to home for Rob? I was wondering about this. What do you think?
Yeah. Are we surprised?
The amigos are not surprised.
That's pretty crazy. All right. Well, hey, now for opportunities. Now for something completely different. So in here, we do have opportunities. And one of the things that you have to use with opportunities are sales cycles. And I'm waiting for this to spin up here. So here's my list of opportunities. You see, we have a bunch in here. And the thing I like about opportunities, even before we start talking about it, is it gives me progress. It tells me how much action has been going on in the particular opportunity. And it also tells me like what my estimated value is and what my current value is. So let's go ahead and take a look at an existing one first. I'm going to go out to this opportunity down here at the bottom. It's an existing one. And we see that out here, there are sales cycles. And in order to use an opportunity, you have to establish what the sales cycles are. I'm going to drill into here for a minute and let you see something that comes out of the box. Microsoft gives you 2 different ones. They say, hey, for existing customers and one for new customers. When I'm working with my clients, sometimes I tell them, well, it may not be about the customer. It may be about the salesperson that you're dealing with. Maybe a new salesperson has multiple steps that the experienced salesperson knows how to avoid. So again, you get to decide how these sales cycles in the opportunity exist. And in this existing customer here, there are stages. So you set up and you determine what these stages are. You say there's an initial, there's a presentation, a proposal, and a signed contract. And the other thing you do is you get to pick whether or not they're required. So over here, I have to say I'm not allowed to skip, or I am allowed to skip certain steps because I know I'm beyond that level. Let's say that in here we have some kind of initial, but the person might already be calling us. And so we're going to right up from there, set up that opportunity and skip over the initial, because then we're going to start doing the work on it. The other thing is when you set up these initial activities in here, there are things that are tasks that you go under. So in here, when I set up my initial task, there might be qualifying the opportunities and identifying key people. So these are all the things that you set up when you're going through an opportunity. So let's go ahead. And the other thing, one more thing here. I also like the fact that I can create an opportunity for somebody who's not a customer. I go to a trade show and I have their contact card and I put them in as a contact, Or out of the clear blue, somebody calls me up and says, hey, I saw your ad in the paper, or I saw you on TV. Hey, I need some of what you're doing. So let's go out and take a look at our contacts. So this is a person, we're going to go back and look at a person that is not a customer for us yet. So I'm going to go back to the main menu and I'm going to bring up contacts. And in here, I get a phone call from some lady named Madame LaRue. And I've already got her in here because I'd heard from her before. And here is Madame LaRue. And Madame LaRue works at the Dollhouse.
Of course she does.
And she's on Bourbon, what is it, Bourbon Street,
No. She's a Houston establishment. She's a fine, reputable person. So Madame LaRue has called me up, and the first thing I'm going to do is I want to log an interaction. So I'm just going to say I'm going to log an interaction, and I'm going to say, let's go out here for Madame LaRue, and I'm going to say this is an interaction, and it was an incoming phone call. And it was a phone call. I'm going to show more information out here. I can assign the salesperson to it, so I am going to assign this to Robin. And the next thing we're going to do is add a comment in here and say, Madam is opening a new business and needs furniture.
All kinds of thoughts go through my head.
Well, wait a minute. Now,
I don't know, Kim. I'm sitting here saying the same exact thing, and I'm sitting here reading how he's typing it.
So we're going to evaluate it, and it was very positive. So we're going to finish that. So based on the fact that I had some very positive information from this lady, I'm now going to create an opportunity. And what is it? Well, it's furniture for new business. Okay. And the other thing is, by default, now you get to pick when you're setting it up what the sales cycle defaults to. I can change it right now, but I'm going to leave it as a new because we saw that this is a new customer. In fact, they're not even there yet. And I'm also going to, from this opportunity, I'm going to set up that there's an interaction out here, and I'm going to say that there was a follow-up phone call. So now I'm going to say outgoing phone call, and I'm going to put in next followed up. And we'll say this. So we're going to close. We're going to, get this out of the way for a second. And I'm going to close it. And I'm going to evaluate this again. Now, this is not part of a campaign. At some point, we can put up a campaign on this, but in this case, we're not going to do that. And I'm going to say next. And, I didn't put in my salesperson code. So let's go back one. Back. Wrong way. Where did I miss? I'm sorry, I forgot to put her on here. So Robin is working with this person, and we're going to say next, and we're going to evaluate that. Very positive. Okay, and I think I have the comments on here. We'll show that. So it was successful. We're going to finish it at that point. So now, because I've already got an interaction out here for this opportunity, I have some information that I can see out here. I can see logged interactions. Now, remember, the first phone call that she had was an incoming, and I didn't have that as an opportunity. So it's only looking at what's going forward here. All right, so now that we're in here for a second, I'm going to go to my tasks because now I want to start working this deal. So out here, we didn't activate it. I have to now activate my first step here. So I'm going to go back to my home for a minute, and I'm activating the first stage because that's what's going to establish the tasks that I need to do. And I'm going to say yes. Once I do this, now remember, this is the initial stage, so I don't know how much this is and what's going to happen out here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to look at my tasks, and I have several tasks out here. So the first one says verify quality of the opportunity. So we're going to go in here because I've already been talking to her, and I know this is good. So I'm going to come over to here, and I'm going to open up the task. Where's my crap? In here is my task, And I don't need to do much here. I'm going to say that I have completed it. I can say something like, I can add other comments, but I'm just going to say I'm completing it. Status, I can say it's in progress, but I'm going to say it's completed. And when it does that, it automatically says, do you want to register an interaction? So I'm going to say yes. And in here, I'm going to go through that same process again. I could do something like, send an email or something like that. I'm not set up for that, but I'm going to do another outgoing phone call to her and say that we've qualified her, or we're going to talk to her bank next. That's going to be the next thing. Got banking information. And we'll close that. And again, let's see here. Is it going to let me? Yep. Again, I keep forgetting to put the salesperson on. I should have put that on the opportunity itself. But other people might be handling this for Robin. And I'll say next and next. And we'll say that that was very positive too, because now I have her banking information. And what did it say? Why did it fail on me? Fresh. Where's my salesperson code? Robin. And now let's go, and it's now completed. So we're all done here, and I can come back into my opportunity here. I have one more task to do. I'm going to back out of here for just a second to go over to my logged interactions. And there you see the outgoing phone call, and I can always bring up the information that was out here. So now so far I've got 2 interactions, but now here's the fun part. So now we're going to go back in to my tasks, and here's key persons. So I'm going to open up that task, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to complete that too. Oops, where's my pencil? And I better put a salesperson on here again, or I'm going to fail on that. And I'm going to say completed. And do I want to do that? And I'm going to say yes. And here's what I did. I did a credit check. And I'm going to say more. I've got Robin on here, so I don't have to do that. I'm going to say banker gave approval. Good to go. We'll say close. All right, so now I've done everything I need to do. I'm going to say next and finish this. And I'm going to say next to be evaluated as very positive. And I'm going to finish it. And so now I'm done. If I go back to my opportunity here, I've done all the tasks for my first steps. So let's go back in here. And I'm going to say, we now need to update the sales cycle. And in here, these are all those steps that I have that are going out here. And I'm going to say, I want to skip this. So I don't need to do sales cycle 2. I'm going to go skip. And it's saying it's not a valid selection because I'm on number 2.
You said you couldn't do that.
What? Yeah, I just did that. So I've got to say skip. And why is it not letting me do that? Because I'm not allowed to skip step 2. So we've got to go ahead and say, I have to put in here that my estimated value in talking to her, it's $25,000. And there's probably a 25% chance that this is going to close. And it's probably going to close on the 21st of February. So now I can say, okay, and I've moved ahead. Now I'm going through this process and I'm like, okay, I don't need to do anything else. I'm going to come back in and update again. And I'm going to skip to the next step. And it's going to tell me, so now the next step is the presentation. And you can't go here without assigning a sales quote. So you control this. So I'm saying, okay, I really don't need to do the presentation. I'm going to cancel that. I'm actually going to go ahead and create the sales quote because we've had some discussions. I know what she needs. So we're going to go ahead and create this sales quote. And it says, do you want to create the contact as a customer? Now, I want to point something out. And this is one of the things I like about the relationship management. This is not a customer yet. Until she signs the deal, and this is what I tell all my clients, until she signs the deal or creates the actual sales order, she's not a customer. So I'm going to say no. But then it says, do you want to create this as a customer template? And you must say yes, because otherwise it doesn't know how to assign anything. So I've got this customer template out here. I've got several of them. But remember, she's from Houston and she is taxable. So I'm going to say yes. And it lets me pick the one I want. So I'm going to grab the Texas Houston customer. Let's go H-Town. And now it's going through and it's going to build a quote. And out here, you see the order date is based on when I think this is going to close. And the first thing I'm going to do is, well, first of all, let's go do a lookup in my list here for a second. I know that we're going to need a bar. So we're going to get the component bars. They're San Jacinto's. They make some of the best in the world. And we're going to say that she needs 8 pieces. These are components that go together. And the next thing we're going to need is a stage, because we know that for what she's going to be doing, she needs a stage. So we're going to come down to here for a second, and we're going to grab the Fort Worth stage. These are components too. You put them in, and these are 8 by 8, and she's going to need 9 of those because we want a pretty good sized stage. And the last thing she needs is for the entertainment. We're going to come down to here, the item, and obviously we're going to need some dancing poles. And Amsterdam makes some of the best in the world. So now we have our quote put together. And remember, this is just a contact at this point. So we're going to send this off to her. We're going to print and send by email, and it's going to fail on me, but you're going to see what this looks like. And I'm going to say send, and it'll fail on me, but it's going to go ahead always. I'm going to always allow it. And it says it's not set up. But more importantly, if you did have your email set up, we're now going to go back to the opportunity. Here's my opportunity card out here. I can show the quote. And there's my quote. And more importantly, let's go look at the logged interactions. So if I go to my opportunities and I go to my logged interactions, there's where I sent the quote. So it's tracking all of this activity that I'm doing for Madame LaRue. And of course, now she calls back. She's ecstatic about it. And I'm going to go ahead. Now watch this. It's the opportunity is still in place, but we're going to go back and I'm going to view the sales quote. And I'm going to say, let's go ahead and make this an order because I've got money in hand. And it says, do you want to convert the quote to an order? And I'm going to say, you betcha, I want my money. And it says you can't release the quote or make it until you specify the customer on the card. Do you want to create the customer? Well, if I have permission, I'm going to say yes. And now my customer record has been created. And it says, whoa, wait a minute, the opportunity is still open. Do you want to close it? I'm going to say yes. And then it says, what is your opportunity? You want it. And what's the closed opportunity? I'm going to say best price.
Okay.
Probably should have said, by the way, it closed on the 21st. Probably should have said sales presentation. And there's your deal.
That's sweet.
I love the relationship management in here. And there you go. See that the order's in place.
Really good.
And now we just got to go buy those poles. How about that for a little color here, folks?
You know, it's really good. And I think a lot of people, I always tell people before you go out and try to do some big CRM package, learn what you've already got, right? Because there's a lot of power in that little package.
There is just so much there. And again, this was just opportunities, interactions. There's more.
It's just funny. It's like
Yeah.
it's that everybody who looks at BC, and the word CRM comes up, and it's like there's a ton of stuff in here. I mean, that you can play with, and then, but every time everybody who says the word CRM, they only think of like the hardcore CRM stuff, but this is like free. I mean, I hate using the word free, but theoretically it's free. It's inside of BC. It's available to you. There's a lot more to like all we've all said. There's more in here, but think about it. I can do this. Like I can track all this stuff as a salesperson. My manager can check me out. I'm like all that other good stuff. It's just amazing.
Or Steve, it's not so much checking you out or seeing where you're stuck. He can go in there and say, hey, wait a minute. I see that, you haven't been able to get beyond here. What's going on? How can I help you?
And tasks, setting up to-dos and getting, keeping track of, okay, what am I supposed to get done this week or this day? That's another piece of it.
Especially on new sales teams. Like I said, you can set it up not for existing customers, but for new sales reps.
I mean, when you think about it, Madame LaRue probably needed a couple of fluffy pillows. You could have thrown that in as a little gift.
Yeah, but we just sell the furniture. We're not into the soft stuff.
All right. This was great.
Um, this was
This is
fun too. I really like showing things that people are for, don't even know are out there, or maybe somebody showed them once during implementation, but they were only trying to figure out how, what keys to press to get the basic work done. Um, I think every client out there can use some features that they already have, and they just don't know it can make their lives
when you
easier.
think about it, I mean, if you think about all the questions that are asked to all three of us, all the forums that have all those weird questions. Every time we're walking out of a conference, somebody's got a weird, all these questions about what, can you find this? Can you do that? I mean, we can have volumes and do this for decades when you really think about all the small things that are in BC and growing exponentially. Um, so this has been great. But you know what? Let's recap. Let's do a little recap as we're getting to our time here. So over the next several months, there's a lot of conferences coming up, and there's a lot of meetups happening in different places. So I figured let's go round robin. I think we'll start with Rob. I mean, Rob, we got a lot of road shows coming up. So where are some of the road shows or anything that you want to like talk about? Anything coming up? Places our friends should go and uh, maybe visit.
So we definitely have Washington D.C. coming up in April. We have Columbus coming up in April. Coming up later is Philadelphia. I believe that's the beginning of May, and then we have Chicago coming up in June, and that's going to be a big one. So
So I mean, guys, I mean, look, think about it. Where you've got many places to visit. There are more to come later this year and into second half of the year. So if you're curious where to go, obviously you can go to the DCI site or just type the word Summit Roadshow and it'll come up as a link, and you can check it out or reach out to Rob. I mean, he's part of the committee that does our road shows and picks our speakers. Kim, I mean, what about conferences? But where do you? We've got some conferences coming up in April. I mean, what do we got coming up?
April? Is it
We have
April?
April?
May.
Well, May, yeah.
Dynamics Con.
Dynamics Con conference. That's right.
You know, and I know I have clients that really love the smaller size of Dynamics Con. It's
yes.
not, 5,500 people. It's 2,000 ish, right? It grows a little every year, but it just has that more intimate feeling. Uh, and it's just a little,
it's Summit 10 years
huh?
ago.
Yeah.
It's Summit 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
Exactly. But people really like that. They feel like they have more time to talk, and they see the same people a lot. And so I have some clients who choose to do this, and it's in Chicago. It's funny you saying Chicago was going to be a big one in June, and I believe that's in what, mid
Mid
May
May.
in Chicago. So um, if you haven't signed up for that, that's definitely a good one. And put on your agenda if you want to come to Texas. We're having a regional in September.
Yep, we got the regional. We have a regional. There's a regional meetup coming up in September from Doug. I know that's coming up in the latter half of the year, and we've got more road shows, more regional meetups throughout the U.S. coming up. They just haven't been finalized yet from Doug. So, and then of course, for those of you listening who are partners or ISVs, next month April is the annual Partners Conference in Las Vegas at the Virgin Hotels, and we'll get to see Wave 1 2025 from Microsoft, as Microsoft will make the presentations of all the cool stuff that's happening. And again, especially at Dynamics Con, you'll definitely see the three of us speaking. Certainly at the road shows, we speak depending upon the city we're in. We can travel, see what's going on. Especially the Texas regional meetup in Doug, you'll definitely see us speaking there. So really, keep in touch. You'll see us. This recording certainly at the end will definitely show you where we're going to be, where we're speaking, and everything like that. So always check it out. Check out the links, and most importantly, most important, if you're going to go to Dynamics Con or you're going to go to Summit come October, which is in the latter end, the fall conference, the discount codes are here from the BC3 Amigos. We've got a discount code for you. Use the code, get the discount, because the prices do change. Obviously, at the end of this month, the Summit price will change. So jump in there, get a discount, as well as the fact, especially if you want to go to Dynamics Con. So
One more thing.
go ahead.
Go to the BC3 Amigos LinkedIn page and follow us.
Yes, please follow us all. Please follow us on LinkedIn. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. Write to us, do whatever you can, and hopefully over the next time.
And give us some ideas for next
Yeah.
Yeah, give us
presentations.
some
Oh, good
ideas,
idea.
new ideas for what we should show you in terms of education. And hopefully over the next 30, 45 days, you'll see a new website spinning up, and then you can communicate us all the time. So it's been a great.
And don't forget the dollhouse is opening soon.
Rob will give you the dates. Promise.
Yeah, free admission.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, the admission is free. It's the dances that cost.
And on that,
On that, we'll let everybody get back there in March. We'll see you again in April. We'll figure out what we're doing because it is the partner conference. So we're going to put our heads together. Possibly you might see us do a presentation from right
ooh,
from
somewhere in
Las
Vegas, we can have
Nevada.
some dancing girls beside us.
Maybe I think we'll bring those dolls into our presentation, Rob.
Oh my goodness. See what I have to put up with, guys? Bye, all.
Bye, all. Have a good one.
Adios.